Alright, so we're back again. The purpose of this video is to show you how to wire up the potentiometer or pot to the Arduino, so we can use the potentiometer as a voltage divider and get a variable voltage into the Arduino. So the potentiometer is the sensor we're using in this lab. It's a 3-terminal device and it's a variable resistor where the knob changes the total resistance. So here's some pictures of them. This is the Random Nerd tutorials. You can find the link on the class homepage. So potentiometer has a knob, so you've used them for volume knobs, things like that. They're all over the place. Very inexpensive. You should have 2 in your kit. So the way a potentiometer works, it has 3 terminals, and between the 2 outer terminals, blue and green here, there is something that has some resistance that changes over the length. Like a carbon, sometimes it's a carbon strip, sometimes it's a wire that's wrapped around, depending on how they made them. And then the middle terminal that comes out the bottom is a wiper, and that's attached to the knob. So when you turn the knob, this contacts a different part of the strip. So the total resistance is fixed, and it's between these two. So a 10K potentiometer is going to measure 10K ohms between green and blue. But if this knob is all the way over here, then between black and blue, it'll be close to 0 ohms because there's hardly any distance. And if the knob is turned so that the wiper's over here between black and green, it will be close to 10K. When the wiper's in the middle, it'll be 5K between each one. And so it makes 2 resistors in series, and you can adjust the ratio or the balance of the 2 resistors by turning the knob. So it's a beautiful setup for a voltage divider. Skip over the rheostat, that's just a variable resistor. This is the voltage divider layout where you put 5 volts or your positive voltage on one side, you put ground on the other. So there's always current flowing through here. It's using a little power. But then you use this middle terminal as the output, and that will adjust between your high voltage and 0 volts based on where the knob is. So it's this perfect voltage divider here where R1 plus R2 is always 10K, and the V out goes between your high and your low voltages that you've given it. So this is how we're going to use it today. The potentiometer is plugged into the breadboard. Make sure you plug it in the way you see it in the picture here. Remember that on our breadboard, the terminals, the holes running this way perpendicular to the groove are connected together. So that way we can have a pin on the potentiometer here and a wire here that connects that pin. Same thing here and same thing here. So these are all connected to the respective pins. The outer pins have power and ground, and the middle pin is our signal. If you plug this potentiometer in 90 degrees to the way shown, so that the knob axis is parallel to the groove, you will have all 3 pins, in the same row. They'll be shorted together. And if then you plug black and red behind them into the same row, you will short out your USB on your computer, which is bad. Most computers will detect the short and they will disable the port, and you may have to reboot the computer to re-enable the port. But don't take that chance. Some of them may just burn out your USB, and you don't want to do that. That's an expensive mistake. So be very careful that you don't touch red and black together on the Arduino. The 5 volts you can see down here on the Arduino, these are the connections we're making to the Arduino. It's the same kind of connection as a breadboard. So the breadboard wire just plug in, and there's a 5 volt here, and then right next to it is ground. There are 2 grounds right there that you can use, and there are some other grounds on the other side as well. And then the signal pin, the yellow one here, is going to A0. Any of these could be used. There are 6 analog input pins that can measure between 0 and 5 volts on the Arduino, and we're using A0. You change it in software if you want to use a different one. So that's the basic wiring. The most critical thing is to get this oriented the right way. as shown in the picture here, and then 3 wires. I suggest using a red wire for 5 volts, a black wire for ground, and some other color for the signal, because that just is the usual practice. But if you only have one color of wire, it will still work. It just looks bad. Okay, so we're going to do the software next, but I will pause this video here. Hope the connections all worked out.